Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding show for you today. My goodness, not only do we have a stacked panel, we also have a stacked deck when it comes to, of course, topics that are going to fill a 2-hour show. And listen, we got to welcome back in Crispy Bomb. He's not here every Friday, but he shows up every now and again, and here he is for your listening pleasure. What's going on, Crispy? How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Oh, good to be back. It's been a little while. Feel like over a month, man. So glad to be here, and we got some great topics to get into. Let's do it.
Yes, and folks, before we get into the rest of the intros, yes, you are seeing the first 90 minutes of Callisto Protocol, and I'm here to tell you that holy S, it is amazing. Oh my God, Striking Distance really showed that they not only know how to make an incredible and scary AF game, but this is truly the spiritual successor to Dead Space. As you can see, graphics are top notch. I am a few hours in, and it is action packed. It is a lot of sneaking around. It's a lot of horror. If you like that kind of stuff, this is going to definitely be a game for you. And speaking of horror, Dreadpool, what's going on, brother? You forgot that this game was going to come out, and it punched you in the gut, brother. Now you got to use those Microsoft points. Dread, you're on mute. Oh no!
Oh, my bad. I'm sitting here saying, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm going to have to, use up those points. What am I going to do?
Yeah, right? Well, that's what they're there for.
I might have to. But no, breakfast today was a simple Mickey D's and some homemade coffee.
You know what? Sometimes the simplisticness of it all is the most tasty.
I am still jonesing. I just can't get around to setting up that German pancake that I wanted to make that I talked about the other week. And it's like, ooh, I really want to do that and show you guys pictures. And I need to. And you guys will see it. But I got to say, Boom, I am up to 713 as of this morning on YouTube.
Oh, listen, so, folks, if you're asking what he's talking about, that's subscribers. He has been growing at record pace. We talked about it in DMs the other day. If you're not already subscribed, now normally we get like 400 or 500 people here. There's got to be some of you that are not subscribed to Dreadpool. Come on, man. If you trust my opinion, don't throw him a pity sub. Throw him a sub that because he works real hard on the work that he does. And quite frankly, again, you don't understand. If you're not a content creator, you don't understand how incredible it is to hit that 1,000, to become a partner with YouTube. Let's help him get there, brother. Folks, thank you.
I'd appreciate anybody. I mean, like you said, don't pity me. Just if you like it, definitely
sub because you wanna listen to some good stuff.
Yes, and I looked at the numbers at the rate. If I do 10 a day, I'll hit 1,000 before right at the new year. And that would be really cool to ring in the new year. Start off 2023 on a positive note. Get out of this whole shebang that we've had for the past 3-4 years, and just be, growing and expanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Absolutely. Anyway, today, oh God, what do we have? We got a whole bunch of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna fill up 2 hours easily, folks.
Yep.
And like I said, you're gonna get some Callisto Protocol gameplay up front. No spoilers here, folks. It's simply just the beginning. And then, of course, on the back end, you get some Evil West, which is turning out to be one of my favorite games of the year. I just cannot stop talking about it. I wish it would have gotten into Game Pass, but I'm here to tell you that it is worth every penny. And I would imagine by year's end, it's going to be on sale. If you don't have the money for the full $60. Wait for a sale, but I'm telling you, you see I've been putting gameplay left and right. It is amazing. There's no doubt about it. But Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on, brother? You have seen some of the topics. You have been
Mhm.
very vocal recently. We're going to get some more of that vocalization on today's topics. How you feeling, brother? Welcome.
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be here with you guys. Always just, man, some awesome games dropping. Some of them a bit broken. Having my own issues with Need for Speed, but that's a whole nother topic. But man, great stuff on the horizon. Looking forward to the topics of the day and some of these games coming out over the next year or two. But man, can't wait to get into it. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, great to have you on. And last and no way least, thank goodness not only is he here, but his mic is working perfectly. Web Dave, what's going on, brother? How the heck are you? And, what's going on with your YouTube channel? Do you have any big, interviews lined up?
I do have some things in the works. This next week there will not be another interview. That's just because of scheduling. But
The holiday really kind of threw a monkey wrench
exactly,
into it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I've got a lot of things lined up. Hopefully, if we get our scheduling worked out, I'm going to be interviewing Tim Dog from RDX.
Oh, Tim's a great dude to listen.
I'm pretty excited for that
talk
one.
to.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah. Even Lord Cognito is another one that we were
yes.
trying to work out a December interview. So hopefully that'll happen. But and if it doesn't, we'll get to him when we can. That's kind of the way it is. Apologize for coughing earlier.
Dude, we didn't hear anything.
Right
we didn't hear it. Listen, dude, listen. You cough, fart, do whatever you got to do, brother. Listen, it's life, right? Listen,
well, that's kind of shitty of you, Boom.
It is what it is. But listen, Dave, it's as you folks wait for Dave to do what he's known best for, and that's sitting down and getting people to open up in ways that sometimes you don't know about your favorite content creator. He has a knack for that. I know for a fact because I was one of the first people he interviewed, and I'm very honored to say that I was one of the first people. With that said, folks, you got to get over to his YouTube channel. You got to subscribe, but you also got to check out who he's interviewed. I mean, my God, the list is staggering, and I'm sure one of your favorite content creators are on that list. But listen, let's get into, folks, the opening salvo. Now, obviously, we're going to be talking about MachineGames, Indiana Jones, but that's not what we're going to open up with, folks, because look, at the end of the day, we're all sitting here on pins and needles wondering whether or not ABK or the Activision Blizzard King deal is going to go through. Now, most of us on this panel have talked about it probably to death at this point, but new information came out the way of CNBC. And folks, last week, Politico, which is a very, very large Twitter account, I think they have over 2 million subscribers and followers. They reported that, their inside man or woman said that the FTC was going to sue Microsoft in an attempt to block the ABK deal. And then, of course, that set the internet on fire, obviously. But, folks, there's a little site called CNBC, and I'm being facetious when I say small. Well, thanks to many people in this community, J-Rock being one of them, Idle Sloth being another, we have a ton of new information that obviously says that not only was Politico wrong, that people are starting to doubt it of all of its sum and parts. Well, again, this tweet comes the way of Idle Sloth, who is the internet detective when it comes to video game information. He put out a tweet 23 hours ago, folks, reading this: for your information, David Faber, who of course is one of the hosts on the CNBC Market Alert show that's on daily. He said this, folks: I don't think political story about the FTC and Microsoft and Activision is correct. Those who think there's a high probability of this deal crashing, don't worry, let's give it a little bit more time. And obviously, after that speech or after that comment, the ATVI stocks rose 1%. Now, obviously, why this story is important to the conversation is because most of us here are Game Pass subscribers. And obviously, if Activision, Blizzard, and King do become first party, well, we're going to win because we're not going to have to pay for Call of Duty after 2024 because it's going to be right in there for your $15 a month, which again, could it raise possibly, but who knows? I'm going to go first here to Web Dave. Web Dave, you are our money man, if you will, when it comes to being a part of this panel. You know, you have some banking, background,
Oh,
and
yes.
you have been saying for quite some time that this deal is going to go through. But what are your thoughts on CNBC talking about maybe? And I think they were being a little facetious. It sounded like they wanted to say that they were full of S, but they didn't because they have to be politically correct. They're
Yeah,
telling people, and they told everyone, they told the world live on the air that they don't think Political story was correct at all. What are your thoughts?
I think Politico is definitely trying to get get the
Clicks.
attention and get clicks and get people to look at their stuff. And I mean, a lot of news aggregate sites do that kind of thing now. But
Well,
but
it's a thing, Dave.
yeah, it is a thing. Unfortunately, it is a thing. But no, I think it's awesome that they called him out, because really we need more people to call him out, because this deal is going through. It is
Yeah.
there's nothing that's going to stop it, and Microsoft is doing everything right. They are going above and beyond what's expected. Their lawyers probably sat down and said, look, if we want to try and get this thing as smooth as possible, even though to outside sometimes it may look, oh my God, this is so horrible and rough, and how are they ever going to make it? It is actually going really well, because in the end result, all the hype and hooey and different different parts of the process, making their comments known to the public, which usually doesn't get done. Those things are just kind of positioning for them, because the outcome for them is probably pretty much kind of locked in already, because there really isn't anything that that's gonna, I mean, there's nothing that stands out that is gonna hurt the consumer. In fact, the biggest thing is, if it gets blocked, that would probably hurt the consumer more than if it
Yeah.
didn't, because ABK, well, let's face it, the reason they're being bought is because they're in trouble. And Microsoft coming
Well,
in,
after all of that insider business with
Mhm.
the sexual misconduct and women being passed over for positions and being
Yep.
underpaid, their stock was tanking. And please confirm for me, Dave, because obviously, again, you are our money man, if you will. If I'm not mistaken, it was in fact Activision that approached Microsoft and not the other way around.
that is correct. They went to them and let them know what they had and what their needs were, and and that they were available for a purchase, and that's kind of where Microsoft kind of put on the brakes on some other deals that we know there were some other things in the works that they were getting ready to probably to unload on us, and this kind of fell in their lap, as it were. So those other things had to get put on hold for this,
Yep.
which hopefully they'll be able to get back to as soon as this deal is done. But we don't know what changes or what happens between now and then. But it's not only the allegations and things like that were bad, but the work environment. A lot of people were, when you have that many teams working on one game, and they're not working
Eight
on
studios. Yeah,
right,
eight
when-
studios
and-
with potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Yes.
and those people were originally brought on for other projects and other things that
Mhm.
they were working on, and then to just get funneled into this, which, I mean, I understand it's their big money maker. It's one of the big money makers of all games, currently, that's been released. So, I mean, it makes sense to do that, but I think Microsoft's approach is going to be better if they kind of, bring them in to work on this, and then let them do some of their own, and bring them back around, and maybe get some kind of rotation, for the franchise to help keep it fresh. Would be great. I just Microsoft, especially nowadays, because Microsoft's reputation is, the old reputation, still kind of stuck out there, but the new one that they're building, has got them to be one of the top 10 companies in the world to work for. So that says a lot, and that's why it would be really good for them to, for not only our consumers, but if the games are made with the love and the passion, that they put into it, then it's going to be something that we as the consumers are going to profit from, because we're going to be enjoying this, great franchises, great games they have coming up. So it's definitely worth the kind of the wait, as it were. But I really think that they were just trying to just get attention to their site, to their that's the reason they came across with this, with this article, their slant on it. But I really don't think that that there's really any there. This deal's going through. This deal is going to get done, and as soon as it is, I think all of us are going to be breathing a sigh of relief. And what, like King David and a couple of others have said, that when this deal does get done and they have that round table that they put on YouTube or whatever,
Right. Yes. Welcoming everybody in. Yes.
and they're gonna have so much to talk about then that they couldn't really talk about until then. That they've been kind of holding back to get everything going through. I think gaming is getting ready to explode for everybody.
You know what? I like what you're putting down, and real quick, Master Clowns X3, very generous friend of the program. Not only has he been a channel member for a year, not only did he drop an outstanding and ridiculous amount of super chats yesterday, he starts the show off with another $20 bomb. Master Clowns, thank you very much. We do appreciate it very, very much, your generosity. And Sith Lord, good friend of the program, who is on a 3-hour trip. He says, thanks, after dropping a $5 super chat. Says, thanks to you and Boxenberger, I had enough podcasts to last me my 3-hour drive back home from the University of Wisconsin. All went well yesterday, and we're happy to hear that, brother. Obviously, he's going through some stuff, Sith Lord, but he's still here every day supporting the show, and we like to help you out. I'm glad that you are obviously using our podcasts to not only, of course, help you through some tough times, but while you're on these long drives, keeps you occupied. We're happy to know that for sure, and we're glad that you are here. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to continue on with the panel, and I want to go next to Fuzzy. Fuzzy, you know what's interesting? Again, we got to call the people out when they put out these amazing tweets. J Rock on Twitter, he put it out. So he put out a specific name that, for me and for many people who are into more than just video games, looking at the world. Wedbush happens to be one of the really, really big investment firms here in the United States. I don't know where their arms reach into the world, but I would imagine that they're huge. Well, this is where you have more fertilization, I suppose, that this deal is in fact not only going to get done, but that there should be no doubt. And J-Rock put out a tweet 21 hours ago where it says Activision was added to Wedbush's best ideas list, with the firm expecting the game maker's $69 billion sale to Microsoft as highly likely to be completed within the next 6 months. But what's interesting is that Activision Blizzard shares were added to the Wedbush, and this is a famed private investment firm. And again, they were added to the best ideas list for investments. Now, I'm going to say this, Fuzzy. Say what you want, if wherever side you fall on, PlayStation, Microsoft, Nintendo, all three, or none at all. Maybe you're just a PC person, and that's fine. I think that when you start seeing CNBC talk about it, where they have, quotes that this deal is getting done, and you had Wedbush now adding this particular deal, the $69 billion deal, to their quote-unquote best ideas list. That would be reckless for them to do it if they didn't have it on good authority that the deal was getting done. What does this tell you?
It tells me that there's enough confidence, despite all of the noise you hear from places like Politico or other pundits out there and stuff. It just seems like a lot of people want to, I guess, put counterpoints on or out there, just maybe whether it be for clicks or whether it be for, just web traffic, general, discourse or discussion on the topic. It seems like there's a lot of places just putting out this FUD or noise in regards to the deal, and having an investment group, which their sole purpose is pretty much to make money and investing and things like that, and to help sell some of their portfolio, well, not things that you can put in your portfolio and stuff, but a lot of times a place like that also has the responsibility to do their fiduciary obligation of making sure that before they make this mass point or statement, that they do their research, they look at the trends of the market, as well as what the general consensus would be for some of these regulatory bodies and things, and how they fare where it comes to transactions, even though a lot of transactions out there aren't necessarily the same size as far as value. But having a company like that endorse this basically, or put a stamp on it and call BS on Politico, goes to show that there are groups out there that are watching the real story or the real things unfold, as opposed to relying on quote unquote people familiar with
so-called insiders. Yes,
so-called insiders. So it's good to see, as far as somebody that also invested in this Activision deal. Oh man, I Warren Buffett was the name. That everybody kind of joked and laughed earlier when he had made his investments on it, and then they were like, "Well, wait, no, Warren Buffett tends to know what he's doing. He's a billionaire for a reason." So, but it's almost like people have forgotten that others have looked over this investment or looked over this deal before, and endorsed it in the manner that shows that it's valid and it shouldn't have any issues going through. And knowing that Microsoft is willing to, I wouldn't say necessarily negotiate, but work with the regulatory bodies to kind of get this going, so they can move on to the next purchase type of deal. Just having some other investment group out there with an awesome reputation endorse this or show the validity of the deal just helps, as well as it help the value of the shares. But I expect, like what they said, within the 6-month period that this goes through. I'm kind of hoping that we hear something second week January, but we'll see. But I think this is a good way to put a stamp on sources that aren't necessarily familiar with this industry, but maybe have their own agendas or purposes for whatever reason. So much for Politico. I used to follow them many moons ago, so pants on fire for their reporting. That's all I got.
Yeah, and we are getting some information, and I'm trying to find the story in front of me right now, and I'm going to pull it as I bring everyone else into the panel. Crispy, I want to bring you back in because the FTC is expected this December, which obviously today is December 2nd, to make some sort of a judgment on whether or not they've come to a deal, whether they're going to sue Microsoft to block the deal or not say anything in order just let the deal go through. And the more we hear about people putting this on their best investment lists, and Politico being called out publicly the way they did, this says to me that there is a lot of inside knowledge that is now floating around the financial, the finance world, if you will. For you, hearing all of this information, Wedbush, CNBC, Warren Buffett, all of these high influence sites and people within finance are all saying the same thing. I don't think they care about clicks, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. But though Politico kind of left hanging on the ledge, and they used to be someone you would trust. Nowadays, you got to ask yourself, even with 2 million followers, are they following the the click traits? What are your thoughts on this deal getting through and what we've heard just the end of this week?
I mean, it looks like it's clickbait, especially with an investment firm that has an obligation to investors to go out and say the exact opposite as of now. You have a lot of people. You gotta kind of like look at this and say, why would they say this right now? Why would it go against, what some people would consider some decent reporting at times from Politico? And why would it be such a large firm doing so? It's interesting. It makes it, because there's a thing called insider trading, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically illegal. Okay,
Of course it is. You can go to
and
jail for that.
right
That is
now
absolutely correct.
everything is out in the public. Yeah, so everything's out in the public at this point, and that's what it makes it not insider trading. And basically, I think Politico opened a door for some of these what these people know, but they can't say. Now they go against it, and this is where you go and say, do I trust, if our investment firm, that has them invest for them, they still have the final say to say, hey, go with this, don't go with this. Well, they kind of opened the door now for people to invest heavily in the ABK deal. That's where, it goes from insider to, public knowledge. So, if this is public knowledge for anybody that has a Robinhood account like me, I'm saying, that says, okay, you know what? I'm hearing enough. And there's also the other side of it, people saying this isn't going to happen. Really, you got to look at it and say these government agencies are responsible to keep consumers having enough competition to get the best value. And like Web Dave said, it's really hard to fathom them not getting this through, because it doesn't hurt the consumer. Yes, there's the speculation that they could become a monopoly, but as of now, Sony continues to do things that they have done in the past, and it's just become more and more in the public eye, thanks to social media and such,
Yep.
of how egregious their activities are. And there's no inkling at this time that Microsoft is going to do the same, even if they, had that type of power. And they don't right now. You could say they do because they're $1 trillion company, but in the gaming sphere, they don't. Okay, Sony has the power. That's why they've raised all these prices. Okay, and that's
well,
where
again,
you look at this and you say,
that's a great point. Yes, that's a great point, Crispy.
Yeah, and that's something that you go and say, well, this happens. Maybe there's a couple concessions. I wouldn't doubt it. Okay, because they are speculating, multiple years later, and they do have an obligation to do so in some way, shape, or form. But speculation can only go so far. You know what I mean? So even if Microsoft says we'll sign a 10-year deal, guaranteeing the release of Call of Duty on your system, I mean, that would be, I think, as far as Microsoft's willing to go. And that's where you go and say, well, could it be true that the FTC could sue? Yes, they could, but that does not mean the deal is dead. That just means that there's going to be a court battle. And unfortunately for the government agency, they probably don't have the lawyers that they're going to Microsoft's going to put on this. And you've seen it with Disney and Fox and MGM and Amazon. Like, it could get some pushback, but in the end, it's probably going to go through. And I think when CNBC is starting to talk about this stuff and everything else, and even somewhat calling out this article, you got to say, you know, you could go either way. It's a 50-50 chance in some people's eyes. And some people like myself would be like, you know, I kind of wish I had, you know, and that's where the fractional shares and all that might be thinking about doing something like that. You know, even if I throw, you know, 20, $30 and get half a share, you know what I mean? What could happen later? Because, you know, that's the options we have now. And that's where you go and say, like, it could be insider knowledge, but it's no longer considered insider trading because now it's
Well, yeah,
out in the open.
it's public knowledge now.
It's going to
Everyone
be
knows what's
interesting
going
how
on.
this plays
Yeah.
out. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting how this plays out, and you know, it gives you an opportunity. I mean, you know, you are still taking a chance. I mean, that's with every investment, but I mean, I think the share is going to slowly go up, and I think it's going to come closer to what they're actually going to pay for it, which is kind of on purpose if you really think about it. But until it's done, we all can have our speculation. Just don't be stupid about it. Like, you know, this isn't anti-consumer. I mean, I don't want to hear that anymore. You know, if I get a, you know, multiple games that I've never played, you know, from Activision Blizzard that go into Game Pass and I try them out, that's not anti-consumer. Because guess what? I didn't pay more than the $15 I pay. I think that's pretty pro-consumer. I'm sorry. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. You know, I think early next year is looking more and more likely rather than, you know, mid, you know, next year. I think it's going to be more early, as long as, you know, we keep seeing pushback back and forth. I think in the end, you got to look at the actual facts, and the facts are there, and it's not anti-consumer.
You know, well, you know what? To your point, Crispy, Sony wants you to pay their $70, right? That's what they want you to do. That's why they raise the prices. They don't care. Microsoft says, "Hey, listen, you know, $70, we're not doing it, and we're going to do one better. Not only we're going to keep Game Pass, but we're going to introduce the family plan that allows you to give for the people the ability for as low as $5 a month to be a part of the conversation. One is being pro-consumer, which is Xbox. One is being anti-consumer, and that is Sony. And that's why Sony doesn't want this deal to go through. But ultimately, I think it is going to go through. The more we hear from these finance entities, you know, it would be incredibly reckless of them to make these opinions and potentially cost people millions of dollars. I don't think CNBC puts this out there. I don't think Warren Buffett invests millions upon millions of dollars if he thinks he's going to lose that money. He's a billionaire for a reason. And the more we hear about this, the more it's likely the deal is going to go through. Hopefully, it does go through in the first quarter of 2023. But, you know, as always, Crispy, good stuff. I want to bring in Dreadpool into the conversation. Dread, I pulled a story. This popped up before all of the S hit the fan, so to speak, with CNBC and, of course, Wedbush. Seeking Alpha put out a story the day before. And basically it says FTC staff recommendation on Activision sale to Microsoft expected by mid-December, says report. And again, this comes the way of seekingalpha.com. And in here they say the update comes after the Politico report last Wednesday that the FTC is likely to file an antitrust lawsuit to block the Activision deal. On Monday, Reuters reported that Microsoft is likely to soon offer up concessions to the European Union in order to dismiss any objections to its Activision deal. Now, of course, this story is a couple of days old, and now you take what they're saying about a mid-December decision from the FTC, and now you take all this new information where we just got from CNBC, and we just got it from all of these other entities, Wedbush being one of the big ones. Kind of sounds like the FTC is not going to have an issue with this deal and that they're working closely with Microsoft. What are your thoughts? You know, obviously, having you here is great because you usually bring your personal experience in business. And besides having one of the best beers in business and being a part of the community in a big way, you have great knowledge when it comes to business. Talk about it, brother. What do you think? Is this deal going through with the new information? How satisfied are you that Wedbush is making this, hey, one of our investment things of the year, go and invest. Uh-oh, you're on mute again,
And
Dread.
you're muted, Dread.
Yeah, of course. I always mute two mics and then I unmute the one and then forget I didn't unmute the other. So anyway, Crispy said something that struck a chord with me, and it reminded me of something. And he said, "Don't be stupid." And basically, it's the quote: "Don't be stupid, stupid." You know what I mean? And this is what usually happens: is a lot of these people talk all this stuff just to get the clout, just to get the attention. But now you have different places that are saying, "Hey, look," and these are investment. These are brains. These guys are not just there to hear themselves talk, right? They know what they're talking about. Warren Buffett is one of the biggest people that you need to follow, and we talk about it. I myself talk about it all the time. I need to follow what he's doing, or this other person that that they're making money. What are they investing in? And we talk about stuff like this. And this was one of the things that towards the beginning, Warren Buffett said, "This is a good deal. This is a good investment," and he's doing this. And for the FTC to get involved again and trying to figure out what they're going to do, if they're going to do it in December, that means there's a lot of talk going on. And one of the models that I have, what's good for me also needs to be good for my company, also needs to be good for my customer. If any of those get cheated, it's not good for anybody, because the whole deal will fall apart. So you got to think, Microsoft's got to think something like that. Phil and Satya have to be on that same wavelength of what's good for the business, what's good for Microsoft/Xbox, what is good for the customer, and what is good for the employees, right? Because you want the employees of Activision to come on, you want the employees of Microsoft to welcome them with open arms, and you want that cohesion between customers, which are us, and the FTC and all the other regulating bodies that are going to authorize, or they never approve, they just let it go. They will deny and tell you that it's not going to happen, but they don't officially approve. You know what I mean? So if there's an issue, they can say I didn't approve. But what happens is we need to come up with something. So if they have to come up with concessions to say, hey, look, we'll do the concessions ahead of time for you, so you don't have to dictate to us. Here's what we're willing to do. We're willing to bend the knee here, right? And just because you're bending a knee doesn't mean you're actually going down on the knee. You know what I mean? You can do a little bow without dropping to your knees. You can just sit there and say, hey, look, and you control the narrative there, and that's also part of the thing. When we have in my field, we have inspectors, right? The inspectors are God, because they rule, and if they don't like what you say, they don't like what you did, they're the ones that say you failed. Well, guess what? I can also control the narrative with the inspector and say, hey, look, this is what I've done ahead of time. I know this isn't part of the scope of work, but I've done extra stuff to make sure that anything you look at meets your opinions, your decision. So everything that you want to look at is code. Everything you want to look at, and anything, go ahead. But what did I do? I went above and beyond to set it up so anything that they can look at will be good. I'm controlling the narrative there. They still have total control. They feel like they are in control of everything, but I'm actually guiding them, right? And this is the same situation here, only on a bigger scale. They're guiding them with what they need and what they want, but they're not letting them control the narrative themselves. The FCC are getting what they want in a way. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you give the little kid a cookie, but you don't tell them that you got a whole box of cookies in the back that you're shoving down your gullet just because, here you go. Here's a cookie, kid. Go over there, while you're shoving down the rest of them. Be like, that was the only cookie I had. That's it. Same situation. And it's funny how at times people just automatically jump on one thing, and that's all they do. We've talked about how Sony is very hypocritical, deceptive practices, right? We're raising the console prices, but you know what? We fear that Xbox and Microsoft are going to raise their console
Yeah,
prices.
total
You know what I'm saying?
oxymoron for sure.
Right. Misdirection on their part, right? They're not saying, oh, yeah, we do the same thing. They're like, oh, my God, you know, we fear that this is what they're going to do. So they're not, you know what I mean? So yet again, they're doing another lead of direction on which way they want the investigators to look. They want these people to look in certain areas and be this. They don't want them to look at how many PlayStation people are on their subscription services, but they're like, look at how fast and how hard Game Pass is growing. You see these numbers? You know what I'm saying? It's yet again misdirection. They're both playing the same game. It's just who's going to play it better. And I feel like Xbox is playing it better right now because yet again, we're offering you 10 years, but you're still denying it. You know, we're offering parity across every platform. Nobody's going to have an advantage or extra anything over the other. Everybody, it's going to be equal across the board, but yet they don't accept it. What do you want me to do?
Yep.
You know, you see this. What do you want me to do? When you bring it on there and you're like, look, here's my concession. I'm giving them 10 years.
It's unheard of in business.
No.
It is literally unheard of. A decade deal. It's never been done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's they're both controlling their narratives. They're both controlling, and this is how business works. You know, everybody doesn't like the good old boy network, but guess what? When you're in those upper tiers, the good old boy network is in effect. It's who you know and what you know. It's not what you know, or who you know, or this or that, right? It's both. You need to know everything. You need to know everybody, and talking to the right people and giving them the right information will lead to the positive outlook that you're looking for. And that's where Microsoft back in the day screwed up Xbox. They didn't care about Xbox. Xbox was just a sore thumb. Even though Bill Gates was happy about it, other execs were not. And that's where they faltered. Now everybody's on the same page. They're all working together. It took them years to come together as a team, to work together and build up Xbox. What is Sony doing? They're trying to keep everything that they've had.
So you know what Sony's doing, Dredd? Sony is a fat king, is
Mm-hmm.
what they are. They're sitting on their throne, and they were happy collecting the millions and millions of dollars each year for Call of Duty, and that's why they haven't innovated.
Yeah.
That's why they're doing remakes and remasters right now. And listen, folks, this is. I'm not taking a shot at Sony. It's a sad reality. Okay, I've been saying it for years. Where's SOCOM? Where's Resistance Fall of Man? Where's a new Killzone by the team that delivered an incredible 2-game release in Horizon? The reason why we don't have any of these games is because Sony got lazy, and they were just happy with putting out someone else's game as on their platform as if it was a first party game. That's the truth.
Why do we normally root for the underdog? Because the other guy has it easy and they can sit back and they usually win, right? So you want the underdog because they're fighting even harder to win, to get that win. So it makes that win even sweeter. So yeah, we can come out with God of War and it's going to be a win. But guess what? They didn't have to fight that hard. It was already a guarantee for them, but now you have another game. Granted, I was just playing it last night, but let's just say Vampire Survivors. I know it's totally different, but guess what? Something like that has taken the world by storm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yep. And that's the underdog. One man
too.
Right. That's the underdog. One man versus a whole team with a whole bunch of money. And that's, yet again, there's a whole bunch of stuff that, imagine if he had connections. He didn't have any connections. He did it on his own. Now, if he has connections, he could be even bigger. And that's what you want. You want stuff like this. And for Microsoft to get ahead of the curve, because they do have those connections, will set it up. So I'm all about it. If we can get it done by Christmas, please, let's get it done. Let's make it official, and then let's move on. All right, let's move on from this. Make it happen. Make it so. Number 2, make it so. Right. But at the same time, I'm greedy. You know why? Because I want the family plan. I want that thing to hurry up and get to us.
Yes, that makes 2 of us, dude. Like
You know?
I want to add some people to it, save some people some money. Yeah.
And there's so many more games in the background that we know are being held back. We know that there's other deals being held back because right now they don't want to add to it. It's a strategy. Yet again, you don't want to add to the fight that you're the uphill battle that you're fighting, right? You don't tell somebody, hey, why don't you get in the car while I'm pushing this uphill, right? You just tell them, just walk with me for a little bit.
Yeah.
While I'm pushing. If you can't help, just walk with me.
Yeah. Good stuff, dude. Listen, everyone completely knocked this topic out of the park. We have 2 more to get to, but before we get to the other topics, I gotta ask a question. I'm all about opinions, right? If you have a gaming opinion, you have opinion on the world, I'm willing to listen, right? Because I want to hear what you have to say. I think everyone's opinion matters. This one, though, is a bit of a conundrum for me. No, Navjot Singh posted something in the chat that I find perplexing. He says Callisto Protocol, pardon me, is like a Sony game, but if you strip out all the good parts, except for the good graphics. Now, here's the thing. If you've played it and that's how you feel, that's how you feel. What am I going to tell you? If you're going just based on my gameplay, man, I got to question your integrity. Because you sound like someone that's just straight up Sony fan and nothing else matters. And if that's how you feel, so be it. But you got to play the game. I know I stayed up to 2:15 in the morning recording footage for today's show to make sure I had it ready to rock and roll, as you can see. And I find your opinion suspect. I just got to be honest with you. I just think it's silly. Sony does make good games, but a lot of their games are very samey. Now, I appreciate that because I'm a single-player dude. I'm selfish like that. I prefer single-player over multiplayer because I get to invest in the character and in the game. But that's just being silly, especially if you haven't even played it yet. So, hang out, have opinions, but that one's a silly one. I got to call you out there for that.
And to add to that, Boom, context is key. So if your context is without just visual, any game could look good and any game could look bad. Any game could look like something else until you actually have your hands on it and play it yourself.
There you go.
So context is key. But opinions, informed opinions are completely different. And what we want to share informed opinions so we learn from each other. But uninformed opinions just off of a bias, that doesn't help the narrative for anybody.
No, it's just silly, and it does really put you out there on the edge of whether or not we can actually pay attention to what you're saying. But listen, real quick, we have a couple of folks that have been channel members for quite some time that dropped some comments in here that we must read live on the air. Master Clowns X3, who's been a channel member for a year, says, thank you, Boom, humbled. No, thank you for the generosity and, of course, being a channel member for as long as you have. And Chaos Theory, good friend of the program, has been a channel member for 36 months. Holy matrimony, that's crazy. He says, what's up, guys? I caught it live. Happy Friday. We're glad that you're here and that you're hanging out. And thank you for the generosity, as always. And Highlander 001, who's been a channel member for 6 months, says, Morning Boom and panel, if you buy Sony stock, you get about a 30% return on investment. Sony shareholders are not happy. They want a bigger return. 30% is a lot. I mean, if I got a 30% return on a couple of $1,000 investment, that's a lot of money. But I guess, they're investors. Like every investor is greedy. They want more. But folks, we got to move on to the next topic. See, now this is a topic. I was just telling the guys in the on the panel earlier, this particular one seems to have fallen by the wayside, and it's a bit shocking to me, folks. And we have a report from WindowsCentral.com, and obviously it was written by one of their fine writers, Alexander Cope. It was published 2 days ago, and I held it because I wanted to talk about this. No one, at least no one in the podcasting game is talking about this deal, how big it is, and how impactful this is going to be for both consumers and, more importantly, Xbox Game Pass subscribers. And I'm talking about the League of Legends and Riot Games deal that was announced at E3. Folks, Riot Games and their all-star lineup of PC games like League of Legends, Valorant, and many more are now starting to show up in the Xbox store. Now, folks, like I said, I'm not a MOBA guy. I've never played one in my entire life because it just doesn't appeal to me. But that doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It means that, well, it's just not a game that appeals to me. But it appeals to millions. And I'm talking millions of people. And like I said, sometimes we all are guilty of looking through at the industry at a keyhole rather than opening the door and looking at the big picture here. And this is one of those deals that unless you open up the door, you don't understand how big of a deal this is going to be. Now, obviously Game Pass for console is huge. 29 million plus subscribers, huge. But how many subscribers are on PC Game Pass? Hard to say, because Microsoft doesn't really put those numbers out. But I have a strong suspicion, folks, that this is a number we're going to learn about very quickly. Because the reason I say that, and I want to get everyone's opinion in the chat, I want to get everyone's opinion on the panel, is that the one thing about Riot Games is that their games are free to play. Right? That's, no big deal there. But what gets people is the DLC. And like something like League of Legends has over currently, like right now as of today's show, has over $800 worth of hero characters that you can buy. $800 for one game on hero characters. You know how much that's going to cost you once it goes into Game Pass officially? It's going to cost you your subscription of $15 per month. Think about that for a hot second. You're going to be able to, if you're a League of Legends, veteran or someone new to the game, which would be me because I've never played it before, you're going to be able to unlock instantly $800 worth of hero characters for the price of your $15 a month subscription. I'm going to go first to Crispy. Crispy, I don't know if you play League of Legends. I don't know if your girl or the kids do. I can tell you that value, this is one of those value propositions that seems ridiculous. How big of a deal is this going to be for PC Game Pass?
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Microsoft's they're trying to put all their hands in the cookie jars, all the cookie jars, and they're doing. And they, unlike that, act like they support PC, and then, it comes out, and I mean, we've all seen it. Some of the games pretty broken, some of them not, and Microsoft's like, well, we'll partner with somebody that already has a stake in this. Kind of like what they are looking at King for when they buy ABK. They're looking for that mobile aspect. I mean, Riot Games is a huge company. Okay. And the one thing I could say about them is they came from, nothing to something. And that's something that, yes, they warranted investment at times and all these other things, but they had to, and, I'm not a gamer for any of these, but I mean, there isn't like a, some kind of competition or something like that I don't hear League of Legends in there. And, like Valorant is like, it's its own, entity that I absolutely adore. And I've watched people play these games and I don't get it. Okay. That's not for me to get. It's not. I'm more, like, I love that traditional multiplayer in a way. I love the team deathmatch matches and stuff like that. I love what I love, but that doesn't mean that other people can't love what they love. And fortunately for Riot Games, they hit a gold mine with many of their IPs. And it just so happens that everybody ignored and said, oh, what's the big deal? It's a big deal because, PC is pretty big, and it keeps getting bigger because it keeps getting easier to build them, you know, and they keep adding these modular, you know, things like when, you know, the young one upstairs is already talking about a new graphics card and stuff, and he already knows how to put it in for Christmas. That means something. You know what I mean? That means that, you know, it's become easier and easier. You know, sometimes I look at it and how the hell don't I have a PC? Well, because, you know, I got bills to pay, and, you know, the Game Pass thing, I don't know. I feel like there's more games I like on the Xbox Game Pass rather than the PC Game Pass. And he is completely vice versa. Like, he went and beat Grounded and stuff like that, and it plays really good on the PC, by the way. And that's where you go and say Xbox is not, you know, Microsoft is not leaving the PC players behind. Instead, they're making it possible to have them seen on a Series X. You know what I mean? They continue to support these games. And that's what I think Riot is looking at and saying, you know, the investment, whatever it may be, is something there where maybe they get a little extra help and making these games even better, you know, and then on top of it, you get these things that would cost you hundreds upon hundreds of dollars, you know, that you would want, you know, if you're a fan of those games, and you get them for the price of Game Pass. And that's what you get. You don't have to sit there and grind out everything. You could just play the game and enjoy it. And I think that's something that, you know, with these type of games being free to play and everything else, it is a nice thing to have for those players. For me, it means basically nothing. I'm not going to sit here and BS, but at the same time, I'm not ignorant to the fact that just because a game's not for me doesn't mean it's not for you. That's just something.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Mr. Moneyman, Web Dave, I got some numbers for you, and obviously, as a money guy, you appreciate the numbers. So I'm going to throw some numbers out here to you that are going to blow your mind. If League of Legends, you know, maybe you've heard of the game, and you're like, wow, how many players play that shit? Well, here, folks, here's some numbers for you that are going to make your head spin. Okay. So as of today's date, they have over 150 million registered players. But that's not all, folks. And this is what's bonkers. Monthly, folks. Monthly players are clocked at 117 million players per month. And the average per day is anywhere between 10 and 11 million players per day. Now, take those numbers, and let's just for shits and giggles, folks, let's just say that 10% of 150 million registers players say, hey, I could now get all of these characters that I might have wanted to try. I bought 3 characters, but there's 17 others that I want to try. I can now do that. If only, Dave, 10%. That's 15 million new subscribers on the PC side. Again, how big of a deal is this? And now they're starting to show up in Game Pass. They said in the holiday, here we are, we're December 2nd, and they're starting to show up inside the Microsoft Store. Big deal or nay?
Oh, it's a very big deal.
Excellent.
We love it. Absolutely love it. Because, I mean, you know, like you said, games aren't for everybody, but there is a game for everybody. Okay. So certain games may not be for you, may not be for me, but there are people out there that love playing these games. My son's big into League of Legends, loves playing it. And when it's coming to Game Pass, he's pretty excited for that to happen because he knows that, you know, he's going to be able to jump right back in, and then he's going to have access to all this other stuff that he didn't buy before because now it's included in his Game Pass. So come on, family plan. Let's get that going. I hardly wait for that thing. But yeah, no, it's a great get for Microsoft, and that's one of the things that, you know, Phil said is he wants to grow the gaming base for Game Pass to, you know, 3 billion players at some point. A lot of people laughed at him, said, but these kind of moves are what is going to is what it takes to get them to their goal. I really hope that they get there, and if they keep doing what they're doing, and if they invest into the mobile gaming like they're talking about, with this mobile app and other things that they're working on, maybe a mobile Game Pass part or subscription, or maybe hopefully included in Ultimate. It's going to be a win-win, and it's going to continue to grow the brand and grow the product. And of course, we all win by this because there's a diversity of games that we may have never played. I would never have played this that Vampire Survivor. Would not have bought it at all.
Isn't
Saw
that
you
something
play it.
else? Isn't that something else? You know something, Dave? To your point, I'm right there with you. Like I said, I like old school games, but if you just look at the screen, you're like, nah, just not my thing.
Yep.
But why did you play it? Because it was a part of your subscription that you pay for, and now it winds up being one of our favorite games of the year.
And I can't stop playing it, and it's crazy because I'm like, God, there's all this other stuff playing. I'm like, maybe I'll see if I can play, for a few minutes, and I'm like 3 hours later, I'm like, damn. And it's so easy, it's so simple that it's almost like it's too simple because it's like, I don't know. It's enjoyable, and that's what gaming's about, man. If you have fun, have fun. Isn't that what Satya said?
So if this is about competition, let us have competition.
Oh, dude. Anyway, but yeah, that's what I mean. It is a smart move, and it is definitely great for Xbox and for all players because even if it's not for you, you can poo-poo it. It's like, oh, it's silly. But they are going after a lot of different diversity in games. There's a lot of things. I mean, we have Monster Hunters coming that came out of nowhere. We have the Lego Saga coming. I mean, it's like these are all like surprises and bonuses that are like, whoa, what? So Game Pass is getting bigger. It's getting better.
Yeah.
So I love it. Love it. Keep coming.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, Smokey in the chat said Vampire Survivors is the best stupid mindless game I've played in a decade. I love that because literally
That is facts.
That is absolutely facts. I'm playing it right now on my every night. I play it for a couple hours while I'm sitting on the couch watching TV with Mrs. Boom. We're watching one of our our Korean dramas or whatever we're watching. Now we're into the Christmas movies because it's the season, and I pop it on the Logitech G Cloud, and it's awesome. One finger. That's all you need. It's crazy. It's crazy good. And that's thanks to Game Pass. Remember, they helped bring this game in. He did, the developer, the one person that made the games, thanked publicly Microsoft for the help. And it's another success story of you saw my head just got ripped off. Not good. Definitely not good. But Fuzzy Belvedere, obviously, you have a good PC. My question to you is, seeing how many people actually play Riot Games. Now, mind you, folks, Riot is huge. They did start off with a small little nothing company. Now they have exploded on the scene. Mm-hmm. When you consider the amount of people that play their games monthly, daily, and have already been registered, and then you hear a deal like all of their hero characters are included in your monthly subscription, is this the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, for Microsoft making a huge dent into PC gaming? Mind you, this is just Riot Games. This isn't all of their first-party stuff and all the third-party stuff that are coming next year. Forget the fact that all of these amazing experiences in 2022, now granted, we gave them smoke that they deserved for not really answering the call for first-party, but you cannot say that their helpings for Game Pass in 2022 were light. There are a lot of really great experiences. What are your thoughts?
Well, with having teams, one of which is very much into Valorant, was kind of hoping for it to come to console, and I think now he's transitioned more to PC for his first-person shooters, with very few exceptions. So it really comes down to them opening up the market to an audience that wouldn't have necessarily looked at Xbox Game Pass for PC. And Phil had kind of talked about it not too long ago, as far as, oh, well, growth is slowing a little bit, but there's still a lot of growth, or it was like something like a 400% increase on, PC Game Pass subscribers. So this is, I think with him mentioning this, with all the ABK stuff going on in the background, I think he was kind of preparing regulators for any, information that they may have to report as far as a significant increase in subscribers being, oh, well, it's on the PC side of things where we're really not that much of a player compared to Steam. We had Riot Games, and we got like 10 million subscribers from that. So I don't know if it'll quite be that amount, but it's definitely
but
going
dude,
to
you
help.
know what? There's room to believe that they could see substantial gain for something as big as Riot Games. Like I said, if it's just their fan base, the money that people spend on these heroes are in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And if you are someone that has a specific amount of characters, most of us will play a game, and if there's a bunch of characters, like Vampire Survivor is a perfect example. I've used all the characters to unlock the achievements. I think I have almost 100 achievements of the 112 that are available, right? Like I really put a lot of time into that game. But for some who actually have to spend the money, they might buy 5 characters, and there's another 20 that they haven't played. If you were to tell that person, that gamer, hey, by the way, if you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass for $15, you get all of these characters for free. People are going to line up, dude.
Yeah, because I mean, the just the value, the savings in general is well worth it. And I believe a lot of their games will have kind of like a, not really cross progression, but you're logging into your Riot account as well. So any of your progression should be there basically. So making it so if you already were a PC Game Pass subscriber, or kind of on the fence, if it was even worth adding that as like a for the Xbox exclusives, instead of having to buy them direct at Steam, this is definitely the thing that should help nudge them over the finish line. Indeed. As far as subscribing. But man, oh man, it's awesome to see these values and things. I'm still a bit bummed that we don't have the Ubisoft Play Plus type of thing.
That's another announcement. They announced at the beginning of the year, dude, and we still haven't seen anything.
Yeah, but the Riot Games one, even though it's not necessarily for me, it'll definitely help one of my sons right now as far as with his Valorant playing and stuff. But yeah, this is awesome to see, and I'm hoping this pans out well for Xbox PC Game Pass. So we'll see here probably between now and E3 if that makes them a little bit more bold to get a lot more of these types of special perks or deals in the PC Game Pass. Looking forward to it.
No, I agree, and obviously, Web Dave, obviously, and yourself have your kids play it, so you understand how big of a deal this is. So I'm glad that you're here to talk about it. Dreadpool, let's get your final opinion on this before we start talking about Indiana Jones by MachineGames. We got some new information comes away of VGC, and folks, some big news, and actually, I got a shout out. Let me see if I could find it real quick. Someone in the chat recently just said something pretty interesting. The Beer Baron. Welcome, brother. He says, Nick, and I'm assuming you mean Nick, Special Nick, from the Xbox era, has recently heard that Indiana Jones is in fact an Xbox exclusive. We're going to talk about that. I think it absolutely should be. MachineGames is first party, even though this deal was signed before. I think it's one of those things that, Microsoft, if it's not already exclusive, it should be. Sorry, Sony, buy an Xbox. What can I tell you? Which is what we've heard. But Dreadpool, let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, value is subjective, though it's hard not to look at this deal and say this is ridiculous.
It is a ridiculous deal. But if you think about it, it's like... Speaking of deals, right? It's like a dealer. Here's a sample, right? And you get all these people this sample, and they get hooked on it. I don't say I'm hooked on it. I don't think I'm addicted to Vampire Survivor, but guess what? I went back and played again. You know what I mean? I'm developing and setting up different builds as the game goes and trying to figure out like the good combination of weapons, right? So people are like, "Ah, you're addicted." Maybe I am, but this is the same thing, right? You're exposing this to how many more thousands of people? You know, and it's a free trial. You know, for now, it's a free trial. My brother-in-law watches it religiously. He doesn't play. He watches it. And he watches
Nice.
these matches. He watches all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, tell me about it because I still don't get it. It's not jiving with me. What's up with this? You know? And he's walking me through it. I'm like, dude, you're talking way too much. There's too much background history that you're giving me. Yet again, he's only a watcher, not a player. And he comes over to my house and it's constantly on his phone. He has to charge his phone because he's usually watching match after match after match. And it's like, holy cow. And the matches aren't like quick matches either. But he's like, oh, check out this move. This person did this. And it's like, wow. And, so yes, the game is addictive if you're into it, and that's the beauty of it is they're bringing it out to more people. They're bringing their game out to more people. And it's not costing them any, this part of the demographic any money. But now what happens when it comes out of Game Pass? How many games have we bought because we knew they were going out of Game Pass and we still couldn't stop playing them? And this is going to be another one of those things. You get another group of people addicted into this game, and they're going to go back and they're going to try to get whatever they can and purchase those other characters that they liked, but it gets them into the ecosystem. It gets them locked in there and wanting to just continuously do that again. Look at Destiny, prime example. Destiny 2 came to Game Pass. They had almost everything, but certain things you still had to pay for, right? So you had almost everything unlocked for everybody on Game Pass, except now they got all this other new expansions coming out. So guess what? They got a lot of people hooked on it, and a lot of people went with the new expansion, and it's out of the Game Pass. So what happened? They're still playing those. They're still playing Destiny. It's even bigger than it was before, and that's the beauty of using something like this as a tool for the developers, for the publishers. It's a tool to use Game Pass, not only to make money, but to really make money when you expand it out and get more people access to your game that would never have tried it or even thought about it. And, how many times we said, game's not for me, but I'll try it out. Everybody was talking about, yet again, we'll bring up Vampire Survivors. You guys have been playing it nonstop. I've been seeing people play it. I said, all right, finally, let me go ahead and download it. It took me another 3 days before I got a chance to play it after I downloaded it. And that was the thing, right? Now I'm playing it like not every night, but when I get a chance and I'm like, what do I play? What do I play? Okay, Vampire Survivors. And that's the same scenario here. You get people hooked on this, and whether they're watchers, you get more watchers, or you get participants and people just play. Either way, it's going to expand between streamers that are playing it nonstop to thousands of people watching, gamers actually more gamers playing. It's a win-win everywhere. So they're it's like a drug deal.
Listen, listen, you're not lying. The value proposition is ridiculous, and it continues to be a real part of the conversation. When you talk about Xbox Game Pass, they constantly, obviously, the question is Microsoft losing money? Well, I don't know because I don't have their books in front of me. I would imagine that you have to lose money to make money. And, right now Game Pass has not increased since it was turned into, Ultimate, which is $15 a month. At some point, is it going to raise? Potentially? Is that disappointing to some extent? Yes. Do I understand why it's going to go up? Yes, of course, because it's business and things cost money, and unfortunately, things go up. So yes, I don't want it to go up, but it eventually might. But even if it went up $2 or $3, and again, I'm not going to defend $1 billion or $1 trillion company. Sorry, They're gonna be who they're gonna be. But I'm in it for the long run simply because I feel that the monies that I spend are well worth what I get in the back end of it. And what could you say? But folks, we got to move on to the big topic of the show, folks, here. And that is Indiana Jones. Now, obviously, I don't know how many people are into the films. The trailer for Indiana Jones 5 came out, and it was phenomenal. I quite enjoyed it. I was very excited about it. But that's not the only Indiana Jones that we're going to be getting, folks. Obviously, we know for a fact that MachineGames, who is currently under the wing of Bethesda Softworks, is working on an adaptation, a new story for Indiana Jones. We've seen some artwork get out there, right? We've seen that get out there for some of the folk, floating around. Is it real? Is it not real? We don't really know. We know that it's being directed by Todd Howard, who is currently directing and finishing up one of the biggest games of 2023 in Starfield. We also know that he is a huge Indiana Jones fan. As a matter of fact, he has real props from the films on one of his shelves when he was talking about this. Obviously, say what you want about Todd Howard. I happen to really, really like the dude. I think he is a staple in this industry. And when you hear that someone of his ilk, and he's been in the industry for many, many years, decades for that matter, is passionate about this particular brand, this game is going to be big. Now, obviously, where did this all start? Well, this came the way, folks, of some tweets that were put out there by Andy Robinson. Obviously, if you don't know who he is, well, he's one of the lead voices over at VGC. He's ex-Platonic writer for Ukulele and The Impossible Lair. He currently is the owner and editor of VGC_news. And of course, that's videogameschronicles.com, one of my favorite places to get news. He put out a tweet, quite a few tweets, as a matter of fact. Let me just bring those tweets up for you. And he put out some information. First of all, he wrote the story for VGC, which we're going to get into momentarily. But these are some of the tweets that he put out there. And he said this, folks. Chronicles of Riddick and the Darkness director Jens Andersson has joined MachineGames to lead design on the Indiana Jones games. Andersson will act as design director on the title and work in parallel with creative director Axel Tovinus, who was previously the art director of the Wolfenstein games. He goes on to say that in total, I understand that more than 20 developers who worked on the 2007's The Darkness, which was a phenomenal Xbox 360 game. Phenomenal game, are on the Indiana Jones project. Jens is an excellent designer, and it's really exciting. It's a really exciting hire for this project. His recent two-person indie game, Yuke's Island Express, won a BAFTA. Now, if you don't know what Yuke's Island Express is, it's a platformer. It's phenomenal. I played that game. It's really, really well done. But I have the story in front of us, and I want to read some excerpts from it. Obviously, Andy put it out there, so obviously, this is what it has to say in the story, folks, and I'm reading verbatim. Since leaving LucasArts, Anderson created the BAFTA-winning indie game Yuke's Island Express and Switch art title Colors Live. And this is what he had to say. I have now taken the next big step in my career, which is to join MachineGames and be the design director on Indiana Jones. This is also a redemption. When I accepted the offer to go to San Francisco in 2009, it was to lead the design on an Indiana Jones game, but that game got canceled before I even got there. Now, I get a chance to do what I originally hoped to, but this time, I get to do it with some of my oldest and best friends Joining Machine Games is like coming home. Amazing people I worked with during Riddick and the Darkness, but also teaming with new ones whose talent daily completely blows me away. And he added this, folks. I'm so excited about what we're building and the way that we get to do it, featuring one of the most iconic characters ever in collaboration with my friends, but my friends at Lucasfilm. He says, "Hi, Craig," which is my name, but I don't work for Lucasfilm, unfortunately. Published by one of the biggest publishers in the world, and doing it all at an amazing studio like Machine Games. This is going to be something very special. I got goosebumps, folks. I am sorry. When you hear Indiana Jones, I love it how some people are like, "Yeah, they're gonna make a game that's like Uncharted." Listen here, son. Uncharted is a thing because of Indiana Jones. Let's be for real here. But I want to get to the panel, and I'm going to start first with Crispy Bomb. Crispy, you jumped to the chance to talk about The Darkness. The Darkness was a phenomenal Xbox 360 game, and that dude is working on Indiana Jones. What are your thoughts on this? And more importantly, besides your excitement for this game developed by this developer who's been in the industry for a while, do you think this has to be an Xbox exclusive?
Oh man, you left that off so weird. All I want to say is, number one, The Darkness is right behind, for 360 games, it is right behind Gears 2. Like, it is
Wow.
sitting
And for
right
you, that's
there.
saying a lot.
the gameplay mechanics, the set pieces of the way that game was built, horror elements involved. If you could stand the graphical fidelity, I suggest go play it, because it is something super special. And I didn't realize how many of these guys were working, at that studio. And it makes total sense with some of the first person, like I've seen enough people play them, and I haven't never really been huge into Wolfenstein. I've played it, but not like that. But you kind of get it now. And then, for this game, you're going to need basically, like, the reason why Indiana Jones is incredible is like every doodad or whip or anything, he's the master of. Like, whatever he has on him, he's going to master. And those are little nuances that I see. Like, even like, you look at certain games and like, this one piece can, make or break you. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know how to use it, you're done. And that's the beauty of it. So, I mean, I am actually a huge Indiana Jones fan. I really am. Like, all I'm hearing is, and I don't even want to get you a copyright, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's in my brain right now. And like, I mean, Harrison Ford's one of my favorite actors of all time. I mean, it's like, like, especially being older, like Sean Connery, like some of these guys, like, just, incredible, like, acting performances, even some of the movies that people thought sucked. I was like, man, he was really good in that, though. You know what I mean? So, like, right now it'd be like Ryan Reynolds, because like he just pulls stuff out of his what, and you're just like, wow, this is hilarious. You know what I mean? And he's like got to be one of the funniest people. So you look at like a game like The Darkness, which, I mean, when's the last time you heard that? I probably brought it up in like some, like maybe like Web Dave's interview or something. You know what I mean? Like, because that game, like, I don't know, man, like the way they built that game, like the gameplay was sick. You know what I mean? And it was grotesque. And it had a visceralness. And that's kind of like when I'm watching you play Callisto Protocol, I'm like, this has like, where it almost feels like you're not in a prompt, fights, but you just, that's the move, that's what it does. But they create this theater like element to it. And that's where I'm like, wow, like this is incredible. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of like, I am definitely interested in Callisto Protocol after watching you play that. So, I mean, and I'm just going to wait. And like, if there's bugs or anything, we'll hear about them. I'm not going to judge the game, if I'm not going to buy it right now. I'm going to say I'm interested in that. You know what I mean? Like that looks awesome. And that's something that I think we've lost a little bit. Like even if like God of War Ragnarok, as great as it is, I mean, there should be some blood in there. I mean, is there really a lot of blood in there? I mean, are all these just gods and they can't, they don't bleed? I don't know. I think Sony's lost a little of their visceralness, and like they're trying to like tout this as their visceralness and saying, we have all these devs that went there and everything, but you haven't bought them yet, and it's releasing on Xbox. So I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I don't understand the thought process of people when they like, get mad about, this person joining a studio. It's like you don't really know what they're doing. Like, if you really have any type of Indiana Jones like thought process, you say they can go a lot of different ways, because some of those movies were pretty dark at times. You know what I mean? And they had parts where you were like, is he going to get out of this? And that's the whole point. It's a suspense. So, you look at what the darkness did and what he's talking about. Already have started working on an Indiana Jones game. It's like, you kidding me? So you already have so this is like you trying to like go full circle. And then you got Todd Howard there who's trying to go full circle with Starfield, because he's talked about thinking about this 20 years before. I mean, this could be ridiculous, and I have no doubt that they're gonna try to get around that Indiana Jones movie, which I've always said, like you start thinking about it, they're trying that's their version of metaverse, like the Halo series, like now Gears is going to come out.
You know how big that game would be if it launched around the movie?
Yeah,
Crazy.
dude, that's what I'm saying. Like they're trying to, because they saw an influx when the Halo series came out. They did. We're not going to really hear about it. It wasn't something super substantial, but I'll tell you right now, they probably did. And I think what is it? Something 2023. What did they say? June? I think June. I don't know.
Yeah, summer, so, I think.
Yeah, it's and so they could, come out with that, and then if it coincides in some way with the game, that'll get more, like maybe the game comes out after, because I mean Indiana Jones hasn't been talked about in a long time. You know what I mean? So, let people warm up to it, see the movie, and then all of a sudden the game comes out, and if they really like the movie, which it looks like it's going to be really good.
I mean, even if they just released a gameplay trailer like during E3, right? Like if the movie comes out in June, E3's in June, they put out a trailer, it gets everyone excited for the film, it gets everybody excited for a game.
Yeah.
Sounds right. It sounds perfect to me.
Well, I mean, and that's where like who's part of Netflix, that's part of what, the marketing team or something? I can't remember. I know Xbox.
Yeah, Microsoft headhunted her to bring her in to help with their streaming service, Game Pass. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, like they understand, and that's where like people are like, is it profitable? Dude, Netflix hasn't been profitable in years. Okay, like I'm talking like almost from its inception. Okay, they continually invest. Like, dude, if you haven't watched Wednesday, my God, I loved it. I really did.
We're gonna start watching that this weekend. All I heard is great things about it.
Oh, dude, Ortega is incredible. She is a great Wednesday. The rest of you got to get over the rest of the cast not being who you want it to be. But once you do that, like, she is a great Wednesday. Like, she's right there with Christina Ricci. So yeah, definitely watch that. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you always have these IPs that come out that surprise people. You know what I mean? And Xbox has like in spades right now. You don't know the reaction it could be. You know what I mean? And that's the point. Like, Indiana Jones could be something really special, and we don't even know it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. Look, at the end of the day, Phil Spencer said it a couple of years ago. They don't have their own Uncharted, which is why they made that Tomb Raider deal. Now, Tomb Raider, obviously, as we know, that's Embracer Group, unless they sell the IP back to sell to Microsoft. With the two studios that make it, that's a horse for another show for sure, or a horse of another color. But Indiana Jones is the OG, right? He is the original Nathan Drake, and I would love to see Microsoft make that an exclusive, simply because they don't have their own character like a Nathan Drake, which I absolutely love. And I think that being that MachineGames is making it, it should be exclusive. That's just my opinion on it. Listen, but before we bring Web Dave in on the conversation, I have to catch up on some of the super chats. It's been quite a few of them, and here they go. The first one comes the way of Highlander 001, who's been a channel member for 6 months. He says this after dropping a $5 super chat. My father was a Marine, and I run my business based on the motto, improvise, adapt, and overcome. That is what Microsoft is doing right now. I'm not wrong. And no, you are not wrong. And that's exactly what Microsoft is doing. They're also, one could say that Sony's brashness or arrogance or, industry dominating way they do business woke a sleeping giant in Microsoft. You could say that as well. Spider-Man drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says this: I had a Sony guy tell me it's okay for Sony to buy studios because they want devs, but Microsoft shouldn't be able to buy ABK because they want their games. Yeah, that's just a dumb person. Sorry. I don't like to call names, but that's just dumb. If the person actually says that, then they're just being a fanboy or fangirl, and then they're just not being honest with you, themselves, or the situation. So thank you for the super chat. And well, people are allowed their opinions, even though that's definitely a wrong one for sure. Giggity08 in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, my top 3 360 games are Halo. I believe it's Halo 3, Gears 2, and Crispy, this is for you. Number 3 is The Darkness. I would love to see a remake of that game. Yeah, so would I. I'd love to see them do both games. Second one wasn't as good as the first. It was good, just not as good as the first. Web Dave, let's get your opinion on Indiana Jones. This is an iconic character. Shout out to Andy Robinson over at VGC for dropping this story, putting it out there that the director of the Darkness 2007 Darkness has come full circle, so to speak. Turns out that there was an Indiana Jones game that he was being hired for that got canceled, and here he is back home once again. What are your thoughts on the new information? Are you confident that this is going to be a quote-unquote banger, as the kids say? And should this be an Xbox exclusive?
Oh yeah, man, I'm super excited for this game. I love the franchise. Loved all the movies, including the Crystal Skull. I enjoyed that one as well. The Indiana Jones. I was hoping I needed to get some more sound bites for the board, man. There's so many great classic lines. All I got is the whip, man. That's all I got.
That's fine. You know what? The whip is fine because at least we can't get copyright strike for that. So,
well, you can't get copyright strike for just a line from a movie either. So,
no,
just so you know,
unless it's Indiana Jones himself calling us to the carpet.
But there you go. But no, it's should it be multiplayer? I actually think it's such a large franchise that they would leave money on the table if they didn't. Would I like it to be an exclusive? Yeah, I think it would be a great exclusive to have, but that doesn't mean as long as it's not restricted by the abilities of other platforms. If they put it to the full potential of the Xbox Series X and all its greatness, 40K, 60 frames per second, great. And
yes.
Then I say then it could be multiplat. I mean, well, we know it's coming to Game Pass, so to me that's a win. And that it's not a quote unquote an exclusive to the platform, which we don't know if it is or isn't yet. We don't know that for sure, and probably won't know until as it gets closer, or until we finally see that gameplay trailer some point. Probably a trailer might pop up when the movie comes out. Be nice if it came out at the same time as the movie, but who knows? We don't really know how far along in production they are. But it was kind of cool that the scene that they had when they revealed the game was
going across the desk. We saw all the that was dope.
Right from the trailer, the actual movie trailer. So that was cool. So yeah, it's so who knows? But if you're asking, should it be? I mean, like I said, I think that would a possibility to make more money. Then yeah, I think it should be a multi-plat because of the Microsoft's going to be making money, and LucasArts wants to make as much money as they can, obviously, because that's the whole point of them putting it out there. But it's it could go either way. I mean, Microsoft could pay the difference, pay up a heavy to have it as exclusive. That could be, or maybe a timed exclusive, to where it's like 6 months, a year, in Game Pass, or on the Xbox before it comes to another platform. But it's one of those great franchises, and from what we're understanding, it's going to be a really good game. The potential is there for it to be a blockbuster. So if it's something like that, why not share it with more and more audience? That's what.
I mean, I see your point. It does. When you talk about money, obviously, you want more people to play your game, right? So the more people that play your game, people are going to buy your game, and when you sell your game, you make more money. Obviously, the investors love that.
Oh yeah.
Though, to be honest,
mm-hmm.
I like the idea of having an iconic character identified as an Xbox game and potentially as an Xbox exclusive, because, like I said, Sony has Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, unless Sony Pictures is sold, is probably always going to be an exclusive character to PlayStation.
I mean, you're not wrong, Boom. You're not wrong at all. I mean, I agree with you 1,000%. I just, I'm looking at it. Take a step back.
Yeah, of course. You got to look at the money aspect of it. Absolutely.
But no, it would be. You're right. It would be a great, iconic character to have under the belt as an exclusive to the Xbox, and hopefully someday Lara Croft will come back home.
Hopefully that would be pretty dope. Yeah, I absolutely agree. You got to shout out Hey Blinken in the chat. Drops a $20 super chat, and someone's got some feedback in their mic. I don't know who that is. I don't think it's me. Let me just.
Might be me, just because of the fan for the laptop. So let me mute.
Okay, yeah. Okay, all right. We're gonna come to you now anyway. Again, Hey Blinken drops an outstanding and ridiculously generous $20 super chat, and he says this: Game Pass is an insane value, but next year Game Pass is an atomic bomb. 1,000%, dude. It's gonna be ridiculous. Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this. Dave brings up a great point. Oh yeah, it's definitely your mic, but it's okay. It's all right. It is. It's a money-making IP. It has not had a good game in decades. Yeah. This is an opportunity to tell a new story. The film was just announced, probably Harrison Ford's last Indiana Jones, I would imagine, at this point. But again, to Dave's point, having it exclusive potentially might hurt some of the sales, but maybe not when you consider that this could be one of those IPs like Spider-Man that brings people to the platform. And then, of course, you turn around and you have the ridiculously inherent value of Game Pass, make people become Xbox subscribers and customers. What are your thoughts?
It's a tough one because me personally, it doesn't matter if it's exclusive or not. I mean, from an Xbox fan standpoint, I would love for it to be exclusive just for the simple fact that if it was on the other foot as far as on the Sony side of things, it would be exclusive, i.e. Spider-Man.
Yeah, 100%.
And a whole host of other things that they've kind of money had it. But and anything that their first party studio does that's going to be a license thing or any third party license things, like the whole deal with the Knights of the Old Republic, that's going to be an exclusive as well on Sony's side. So yeah, well, why not make Indiana Jones an exclusive, have people lured to the platform? I mean, that means PC, phones, TVs, anything where Xbox Game Pass is playable kind of thing. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm fine with if it's available on other storefronts and such, just as long as it's in Game Pass day and date. That would be the big thing. As long as it's there where my subscription money will be pushed to the well, not pushed to the limit, but made the best of. Yeah, Game Pass is enough of the exclusive for me. But just in general, the news that we're hearing about this and with the the movie trailer, Microsoft is now starting to see how that whole multiverse thing, kind of like what Crispy was saying and what Dave was saying and Dreadpool was saying. It's just you gotta have that synergy between your gaming IP and the actual IP on whether it be a show or movie and so forth. So I'm looking forward to this game. Having people from the Darkness being part of the development on this. I would say, even though it was like one of those like not really underestimated, but like kind of overlooked type games, almost like the same thing with what do you call it? Mad Max and Rise, Son of Rome, and a lot of other games that were great, just underrated. That's the word. With a lot of underrated games out there, and they had great direction and things along those lines. Having somebody from a game like that working on this would be awesome. Just in the sense that they previously worked on the movie IP, so they'll be able to take some of that experience as far as transferring what you see on the big screen to the smaller screen and making it more interactive. But yeah, I would love for it to be exclusive, but as long as it's on Game Pass, that's the main thing for me. But definitely hoping that we get to see a trailer, some gameplay, come E3. I just have serious doubts that it's that far along that it'll be within a year's time of the movie. But it would be nice, or even if they have a playable demo just for around movie time, although that might be a bit extreme to have just that demo and then like a year later the whole game comes out type of thing. But man, definitely looking forward to this, and that trailer definitely sparked excitement for that series again. I don't know how they made them look younger again. Power to technology out there.
Oh yeah,
days,
1,000%. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely awesome. Can't wait for this thing to hit the console, and hopefully Xbox exclusive will be.
I mean, again, either way, if you're an Xbox subscriber, you win because you won't have to buy the game unless you want to, and that's the whole point of having a subscription service monthly. I know there are a lot of PlayStation fans that get annoyed. Well, they don't buy any games. You know what? I put a post up yesterday of my top 10 pins. Mm-hmm. And half of them I bought because I have money that's put to the side now thanks to Xbox Game Pass. It allows me to invest in other ecosystems as well as other games. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the games on the screen that wasn't in Game Pass. I'm very surprised by it, but I bought it, and it's I'm not sorry. This is one of my favorite games of the year, right along with Gotham Knights. But listen, Dread, let's get your opinion on Indiana Jones. Obviously, it has some development muscle behind who is going to be making this game. When you hear someone as passionate as someone that they're bringing in that originally was supposed to work on an Indiana Jones game that was canceled, and now he full circle, he returns and he's working on the game. He feels privileged and honored to be there with friends of his from a team that he worked with years ago. Where does your excitement level go for this game? But more importantly, like I asked everyone else, should this game be an Xbox exclusive?
So we're playing with the mute game again. To be I'm a little distracted right now. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say who, but somebody in chat just dropped me Calypso Protocol Day 1 edition.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you. I truly appreciate it.
That's pretty dope.
I was seriously not expecting that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the count to 1K was like something, but this is even, I'm just kind of speechless here, but
the generosity of this community never ceases to amaze me, honestly.
Right. And that's why I love you guys. You guys are like family. When you do stuff like this, we do stuff in the background, not wanting any thanks or any notoriety about it. And I even asked, I said, do you want me to, spill it out? And they're like, no, I just want to share the game. I believe in it. And so,
that's pretty dope, man. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. This is the cool stuff about community, But now, let's move on to Indy, one of the greatest characters, and there is no doubt nobody's gonna say Indy did not shoot first, because on this one, he shot first. Ain't no whip, or he doesn't have to use a whip to go against swords. He'll just shoot you. But stuff like that was very iconic. The whole weight and trying to figure out if I can pull this stone, this gold piece that they're honoring and everything and worshiping. Can I fill it with sand and do the switch without doing anything? The run from the boulder. I mean, all these things are very iconic, and it's great to see it come into the video games where you can experience the true raiding of tombs, right? But this is really where Tomb Raider came from, where Uncharted came from. This, people forget. It's just like Ozzy being granted popularity because of Post Malone gave him a chance.
Could you imagine that? First of all, it was a great song that they worked together, but he became popular again because of working with Post Malone. It's crazy.
But people forgot all the music that he's done, the MTV, the Osbournes. They forgot all about that, and in this new generation, we're like, wow, it's great that they gave this old guy a chance. He's really good. It's like, you guys got to learn your history. And this is the same thing here. They're like, oh, this is just another Uncharted. It's not. Uncharted is another Tomb Raider. It's another Indiana Jones. They both were off of Indy. That was the whole thing, is doing this exploration and other things. And that was the whole thing with artifacts. And now, Jens Andersson, right? Not only we talked about the darkness, we're forgetting another game that he worked on. Just drew a blank on Riddick. Yes, thank you. Chronicles of Riddick.
Two iconic games, both of them, and absolutely legendary.
Yes, and the best part is, not only did he work on legendary games that broke the mold for their style of gameplay, here's the thing. He wants to work on it. He is a fan of working on it. He's a fan of the lore. He's a fan of the game, and he was truly upset going and losing out on the opportunity because it was pulled out from underneath him. And now he's joining and getting a chance to work on it again. When you see something like that from any creator, that they wanted to work with this medium or artist or whatever, and it shows the passion that they have. And when you have a passion like that they are willing to do everything and anything to make it authentic to the IP, right? We're not just making a movie from a video game, and we got Luigi not looking like Luigi, Bowser not looking like Bowser. You know what I mean? Remember those old Mario movie?
Awful.
And now where we're at, right?
Yeah.
We've learned from Sonic that you can't put something out like that, and they've gone back and they made great Sonic movies. And now, Nintendo's saying the same thing. We can't let Hollywood do what Hollywood does. We have to do what we want them to do, and honor our IP the right way. Remember, Halo was supposed to come out way back when on Showtime, and it fell through because it wasn't to the integrity to the IP. And where are we at now? We've got some issues, right? We've got some issues, but they are not Halo fans, right? They just make movies. They make shows. Here we have a Halo. We have a indie fan that's willing to do what he has to do on what he's got control of, obviously, to work on indie. There's a lot of people that love indie, and they know how indie is supposed to be. So they love the way that it's designed. The previous Xbox One game was great for what it was, and it still looks good now, even for an Xbox One game being backwards compatible. Still, the controls are off, but imagine that only 1,000 times, if not 1,000,000 times better better controls, better visuals, better story. We've developed games now that have great storylines when it comes to this. So we're no longer where it's like let's make something and put it out with the movie. Let's hurry up and correlate this, right? Spider-Man came out and had nothing to do with the movie, but it came right around the same time and blew everybody out when it came to the storylines. So, I'm happy for this. I'm excited. I'm still speechless from previous, but this is a good thing. This is what we want to see. And he's happy to work with these people. These are his friends. When you work with your friends, you come up with great ideas. You come up with,
there's no pressure because you're working with your buddies. Yeah, absolutely.
You just bounce
1,000%.
off of each other. You bounce ideas. And if you're on the common page and all that, we do this stuff in the green room. We're back there talking and we're bouncing off of each other. Like, that's a great thing. Keep that in mind. We'll come back to that. Make sure you bring up this point. We're all blanking in our head in the green room talking about Warren Buffett and couldn't remember his name, but we're all on the same page.
Yeah, we sure were.
And then that's the beauty of this. And this itself for Indie and Bethesda and Anderson and amongst the rest of the devs and the not just the programmers, the artists, they're going to put their best foot forward because this is not a new game, a new IP, or an existing IP that they've dabbled in and trying to make it better, right? And that's what Tomb Raider was. That's what Uncharted was. It was new IPs. They had an idea, but obviously they can't make indie. They have to make their own versions, and that's what they do. This has a lore, and they have to abide by it. They have to add to it and improve on it. I can't say many more praises than I have.
I mean, good stuff, dude. Listen, at the end of the day, it is an iconic IP. It is going to be brought back. I still hope, for a lot of reasons, it's exclusive because Microsoft is trying to, you want to build brand recognition. There's no one better in video games or in film that when you talk about action adventure, than the character of Indiana Jones. And the fact that this is coming from a first-party team, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do. Real quick though, we're gonna get everyone out of here, folks. Get your Friday started. But before we do, I don't know if I found the troll in the chat or if he's being facetious. Hal Sion went on. Now this is silly. If you honestly believe this, go sit in the corner. Put on a dunce cap. He says Sony needs to raise their prices so they can keep paying developers from releasing games on Xbox. I hope you're joking, dude, because if you really do believe that, my goodness, I feel very sorry for you. Again, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're just being facetious and you're joking, and that's cool.
Premium.
That's funny. But if you really believe that, Sony's going to keep raking you over the coals. Perfect example, a $600 VR unit. The unit's more than the PlayStation 5 you need to play it on. Good luck with that, Charlie Brown. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been one hell of a show. We have gameplay from, obviously, The Evil West, which is one of my favorite games of this year. Not big on Metacritic, but you know what? I don't play Metacritic. I actually play games. And Callisto Protocol is a must-buy, in my opinion. Let's get everyone out of here. We'll start first with Crispy Bomb. Sell your brand, brother. Where you going to be this evening? Or actually, it was yesterday. I think you were on. If your power came back on, that's right. You were on another show. But more importantly, where you going to be next week, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Shout out to the chat. Very interesting conversations. At Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28, Xbox Live. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. We have Retro Renegades. I will also be a guest on Gaming After Dark at 10 p.m. that night. So look forward to that. And then we got Primetime Gaming, 7 p.m. Wednesday. Be back right on Boom's channel.
Nice.
We got X-Vlog to work that out at some point. Might have to take a day off just to get it done. And then of course we got the freaking next podcast because we didn't do it yesterday. I'm just losing it. Yeah, so next podcast, 8 p.m. Thursday.
Nice.
And then wherever you may find me, never know. Might be back on here, might not be.
You just never know. And shout out to Hal Sion 1-on-1. He says, "Of course, I'm joking. I'm going to go like this." And I'm glad. First of all, brother, thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that you are joking because I was nervous for a second. Because listen, dude, come on. You know people actually think like that. We don't want to pay more for anything. That's life. Don't do that. Don't tell these companies that we want to pay more. Don't do that.
What did I say earlier? Don't be stupid. We know there's a lot of people like that, and we're glad you're not one of them.
And then
I'm very relieved.
And then you get it's the premium tax.
It's the premium tax. Yeah, I love it. That's good stuff. Dreadpool, sell your brand, brother. Put it up on the screen for everyone to go and help you hit 1,000 subscribers. Let's get that picture on for everyone to take a look at. That's right, folks. You can go and subscribe right now to youtube.com/Dreadpool. Let's help Dread get to 1K. He's also available on TikTok at Dreadpool, Twitter at Dreadpool, and Hover GG at Dreadpool. He's also a panel member of Gaming Beyond the Box. That is Wilmy Hood's weekly podcast on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's obviously a panel member here on Breakfast with Boom, but he has his own outstanding YouTube channel, and he has something that you should check out called Breaking Bread with Dread. It is a fantastic and very different way of interviewing people, but still worth your time. Dread, thanks so much for being here, brother.
No, thank you. Like I said, I got to thank the chat for being here. Thank you to the rest of the panel. You know, it's always fun hanging out with you guys on Fridays and just having a great time, you know, and that's the beauty of this stuff. You know, we're a family, and it's not just the panel, it's the chat, it's the community. You know, like we talked about the other weekend when we all got together, and we didn't talk gaming. We talked about what we were, you know, all the stuff we were thankful for, all the stuff that we truly appreciated. You know, that's truly what we believe in, you know, that we believe in this community, that we all can do better and have been better because of the community. So yet again, that's why I got to thank you guys and thank the anonymous person that gave me the game. We came in at 7:11, and then as we started, it went from 7:13, and now we're ending the show at 7:19. So we're moving.
Nice.
I really appreciate you guys. I thank you guys.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Shout out to Dan the Man Cunningham. Shout out to the Game Complainers, Sleepy Goblin. We also have CBH4 God says he misses the only on Xbox takes. Yeah, so do I. I actually did miss that. Those are part of the OG stuff. Shout out to Leonard Herrera in the chat. What's going on, brother? Thanks so much for being here. But listen, Fuzzy Belvedere, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your very centric racing YouTube channel, and it's probably the best news in the business because obviously you are a racer head for sure. Talk about that, where they can subscribe to it, reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, find you on other shows.
Oh, just once again, want to thank you for having me on here. It was great being on here with you guys. Also, thanks to the chat for all the interaction and checking us out, and for those that catch us on replay. For anybody who wants to hear my rambling on anything gaming, or sometimes my rants on some of the games not working, just follow me on all the social media. Just follow or look for Fuzzy Space Belvedere or Fuzzy_Belvedere. That's also my gamer tags for Xbox and PlayStation. You can also find me later on tonight on the Xbox Ultimate Podcast on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening. The Shop Podcast tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Arizona time on PTK Blam's channel. And then on Monday, Xbox Lunch Break Special at 12 noon, Monday afternoon, right here on Double Barrel Gaming. And then later on that evening on FSP or Fun Speculations podcast on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday evening. And then right back here, 10 a.m. next Friday morning, right here on Breakfast with Boom. Look forward to you. seeing you guys here.
Thanks so much. And Web Dave, sell your brand, brother. Talk about all the outstanding interviews you have done for your YouTube channel, what you got going on, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Thanks, Boom. Appreciate it. I mean, come on. I have some great interviews up there. I've got Mr. BoomStick XL. I've got Fuzzy Belvedere, Crispy Bomb, and Dreadpool are all up there right now.
All really good information too. Stuff that you don't know about us. Man. Good stuff.
And like Randall Thor 19, Argy Chani, Dealer Gaming. Dealers is quite humorous. I'll just tell you that right now. I was,
as you would expect.
I've listened back to it a couple times myself because it's pretty damn funny. But yeah, it's and there's a whole bunch more up there too. Doom Cutie and Eric Cuts for the Win. There's some amazing female gamers as well that we have in there as well.
Excellent.
So awesome. More and more great stuff coming. Appreciate it. You can find me on YouTube. I'm also trying to get to 1,000. I'm a lot further away than he is, but eventually we'll get there. We're definitely growing with the help of Mr. Boomstick, which I greatly appreciate you, sir.
My pleasure.
And, you definitely need to grow faster. You're putting out great content, so definitely you should be going up past me.
I don't know about that. You the man. Come on.
Oh, no.
Come on now.
You the man.
Oh, God. Thank you again for having me, and thanks to everybody in the chat. Some of our great recurring Tim the Sorcerer, Cammy, Sentinel. There's Jacob Novak. There's some great people out there that come every time you have a show. They're in there as best they can, and man, it's great seeing them. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, brother. And, of course, a big thank you to all the Super Chats that come in. Obviously, folks, those do power the show more than you know. Channel membership definitely help on the back end. When we need things for the show, cameras, lighting, microphones, programs to do the thumbnails, programs to put these gameplay clips together. As a retired dude, there's only so much money I have that's spendable. So that sometimes we do use that monies for equipment, but a lot of the times we use the monies on giveaways, folks, and we are doing one of the biggest giveaways in the 5-year history of the channel. Not next week, the following week, folks. That is going to be our 5th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, and we are giving away $1,000 in 2 hours. $500 up front, 5 $100 gift cards, or the cash if you need it, are going to be specifically held and doled out to channel members. The second half of the show and the second $500 is going to be given to anyone that gets picked from the chat. And folks, like I said yesterday, I wanted to make it clear, if you want it for yourself and you want to get a game, a game code or a card for Xbox Live, Nintendo, Nintendo Switch Online, or of course PSN, we will get you that. And all of our international viewers are welcomed here as well. But if you are in a position where you want that $100 in cash, we will send it to you, folks. You don't even, all you have to do is let me know, hey, Boom, I prefer the cash. We will send you that $100. The only caveat, folks, is that it must be done through PayPal. That is the only way that PayPal protects us from scams. We will not use Zelle. We will not use any of these pay apps, cash apps. We will use, if you want the monies, we will then use PayPal to deliver that $100. We will pay the transfer fee, and we will pay any denominational differences when it comes to value of your current country's currency. We pick
That's
up
amazing, Boom. You're amazing. You're amazing.
We're trying. Well, I appreciate that, but here we go. Well, I appreciate that very much, but listen, it's what we do. We are blessed to have this audience, and we want to give back. And the holidays is certainly a time of giving, and we want to give the most we've ever done, and that's what we're about to do. So thank you so much for that. I want to say a big thank you to all nearly 400 people that tuned in for today's show. That's big for a Friday morning show. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me, folks. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So have a great weekend. Enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming on, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.